grew up in East LA, Montebello to be exact, where the stresses of life weighed heavily inward, left people feeling trapped. Exposure to what's possible was capped. Just being able to pay the bills was thought of as being apt. But you can see that being a cog in a wheel left people feeling zapped, crapped on, forgotten about, chapped pride, your life dreams set aside, scrapped. It's no wonder that one day you turn around and someone is snapped. I thought nothing of a kidnap. At least that's what happened to me as a young chap. No, seriously, I was kidnapped. But my mom saved me as she's been known to do in her own unusual way. That time it was by running someone over with a Porsche. But that's another story for a different day. We never had much growing up. But at least once a year, my mom was able to borrow a pickup truck. And she'd collect some of the apartment kids to take us off to Venice Beach to expose us of the true variety of what humanity had to offer. 4 Mexican kids bouncing around in the back of an old school camper shell pickup truck with wet carpet that smelled like wet dog while Brenton Wood was casting a spell on me. Once we got within a mile of the sand, we'd start looking for a spot because my mom would be damned if she was going to spend half of our beach money on parking. Once the engine cut off, we'd explode out of the back like we were trying to escape from being kidnapped, which admittedly looks very similar, but in actuality feels way different. And so began our glorious speed march to the sand, Nirvana, the great equalizer. Because once we got to Venice Beach, it didn't matter where we were from or how much my mom made. The only thing that mattered was that we were true to ourselves and that we respected everyone else for who they truly were. But who was I? I was raised by blacks, schooled by whites. My mama was adopted, so I never felt right in my own skin. That's how I translated my culture, from Mexican to in my own skin. I learned Spanish from hip hop. This is for la raza, mentirosa, break dancing on cardboard. Entiendo mucho, pero no hablo bien. El queso es viejo, ¿dónde está el baño? Yes, I drink horchata. Yes, my mama threw chanclas. I have a light-skinned cousin named Mandy. We all call her Blanca. I know enough to put cilantro on menudo. Cilantro, culture, culture, cilantro. I know what they smell and taste like, but I don't know how they are grown. When I was a young lad, my mom and I couldn't afford, had to grab a roof over our head. So instead, she begged and pled to have at least a bed to rest her baby boy's head that night, because I had school in the morning. My mom and I were homeless, but know this, sometimes life happens, you just can't control this. My mama protected me with a tent of love and acceptance because I had that we still live some semblance of normalcy. Our circumstances didn't define we. This is from my mama, who visibly showed me to respect myself because if I don't, no one will. Skid Row was temporary because we connected to community, grasped the extended hand, and continued striving just to be the best me I could manifest to be. When I started making my way into society, her sense of propriety made her step aside as she started to hide from me. Didn't want to detour the rise in me, so I'd pick her up on the corner of Skid Row just to dine with me. We'd share a meal which allowed us to heal. It still seems so surreal. She'd always end with her normal spiel. It's okay, mijo. Don't worry about me. Just focus. I always thought that was bogus. She did it out of love. It took years for me to know this. Despite my protest, I dropped her off on the corner with some leftover steak and sodas. I was walking down the street the other day when a homeless gentleman looked my way and said a simple, "Hey." I said the same and then asked his name. Unexpectedly, his eyes, they started to rain. He said it'd been a year and a half since someone asked him his name. It was Peter, by the way. And we hugged. And I held him tightly to remind him even slightly that I see his light in me. Let us not ostracize, but look into each other's eyes and mutually realize that we are all human beings with lives to live. So give hope. We're the city of angels, not the city of angles, wrangling up tent cities like cattle, herding them to your new pasture, past your next exit off the 101 in Alvarado. Thank you for never losing faith in me. I will never lose faith in you. Thank you all for risking the journey to join us here this evening. May I have permission to speak?
Yes.
Yes.
I humbly take the floor and welcome you all to the re-evolution. The re-evolution. Not the revolution, because we're not revolting, not wasting focus on fighting the current system, but building a new one to make the old obsolete. Did you bring the items on the list that were requested? An open mind, an open heart, and acceptance of what we asked of you. The state of our world, its physical being, and our collective mental state need healing. The voices of environmentalism, gun safety pragmatism, human rights activism, finding ways to reform our economic and prison systems, shouting dissent into the ether, hoping to catch an ear while continuing to take action year after year. Yet they have the audacity, with their lack of emotional capacity, not to empathize with the struggle felt by many in this mad city. Now, I don't mean angry, it's more like lunacy, a Trojan horse of democracy filled with corporatocracy. We're being fed a sack of lies. The re-evolution will not be televised. For change to come, we've got to do more. The re-evolution will not be paid for. The prevalence of these problems are ubiquitous. The issues that we're facing aren't unique to us. Sacrificing for a few at the expense of the rest of us, if we don't alter course now, it'll be the death of us. Most agree that humans have less than 200 years left. Damn it. People worried about profits and not the planet. Sacrificing morals just to line their own pockets. I live a comfy life. I'm kind of hesitant to stop it. I have running water, a roof over my head. I'm soon to be a father. My loving wife keeps me fed. Men expand the empire, search for new land to conquer. Hunters and gatherers defeat and plunder, vanquish territory left asunder. An imperfect messenger stands before you. Who am I? Why me? Because there's no time to waste. We must speak up when we see injustice and inequality within the human race. We're here because we want equity, the essence of being fair with impartiality. Not everything is as blatant as 3/5 of humanity. First divided by sex, stay in the kitchen, then divided by race, public lynching, then divided by faith, murder in the name of religion, then divided by country, for the sake of the mission. All beliefs are true in the mind of the believer. What you're looking for, you'll find, the mind of the seeker. But what are we seeking? We've got to sync up so the world can hear us. Orchestrate this movement. We sing in chorus. Do it for the future, for those that came before us. There's another way to view it. Here's a thesaurus. Our meeting here tonight is for new leadership. The earth yearns to be led by respectful, empathetic, loving humans instead. Patient, kind, supportive, humble yet authoritative. It's time for a mother's love, a woman's touch, a female's guidance, a wife who can see us for what we can truly be. I've asked what a male ally needs to do or say in these reformative times. Can someone lead the way? It means don't look at their tits first or hips first. Your own thirst brings out the worst. Get used to speaking up and saying something first. But what are we seeking? Look into their eyes and treat them like the child, adult, and senior that they were, are, and will be, caring for their innocence, logic, and dignity. Give each other a little space. This much. The difference between a human being with a sweet heart and sweetheart. A sweethearted person wants to take care of and nurture. A sweetheart is a reinforcement of the cultural structure. We only know what we're exposed to. We can only evolve if we're allowed the freedom to let our perspectives grow. I'm sorry, did I say allowed? What I meant was if we take the freedoms to let our perspectives grow. We can't be mortgaging the future at the cost of the present, can't be relying on big government or the president. The change starts with us now if we want descendants. Don't let the passion fade. What we'll need is persistence. Speaking up when needed. I'm talking being insistent. The foundation is cracked. We must build anew, stronger than concrete. The material is you. We're fresh out of a serious relationship after learning two very hard lessons. One of self-respect and one of what we are willing to accept. Those that roam the path after us will have a less tremulous road to traverse if we take up the challenge and all contribute a verse. And with that, I submit. I submit this proposal to the body for consideration. The future is feminine. All bring the men in them. Now's the time to change, build forward, and not sin again. It's going to take us all to lead the resistance. The future is yours, ladies. May we be of assistance.